Hi, welcome back to Conversations on a Bench. I'm Kim Cook. I'm the CEO here at Bread of Life Mission, and that just means that I get the task of sitting here on this bench for 24 hours. And we are having a great time, and we've been having conversations all day yesterday around the issues of homelessness and mental illness and addiction. And so I'm going to be sitting here until noon. And if you're interested in having a conversation with me, come on down. We're at the corner of First Avenue and South Main, and would love to talk to you. But right now, I have my good friend Melissa here. Melissa is the retired CEO of Vision House, and her husband Steve is with her. He's been great to. Oh, I just realized that the camera is not picking up Steve.
don't care. That's fine.
Oh, that's okay. Anyway, it must have something got moved. Probably when I had my nap. Anyway, yeah. So I just got totally sidetracked on that. But anyway, Melissa, thanks for getting up early in the morning to come
Yes, of
down
course.
because otherwise we would have had nobody for hours. So tell me a little bit about Vision House and what you did and how long were you there?
Vision House is a program that addresses homelessness for families with children.
Mm.
It's been in existence since 1990, so we're coming
Mhm.
up on, do the math, 35 years.
Mhm.
Looking at my math teacher husband here. um, and based in the Renton area, but we have a complex in Renton and a complex in Shoreline.
Mhm.
So the program is transitional housing, but the housing is a benefit of the program. So we take
Mm.
families with children. It started out with it was founded by a couple in the Renton area that just felt called to do something, and
Mhm.
specifically with moms and kids. So it started
Mhm.
out with serving single moms with kids, housing them and giving them like case management, trying to help them to get off their, get back on their feet out of the streets or wherever they were. And of course, at that time, family homelessness was not something that was really known or addressed or talked about. But the
Mhm.
program has grown to the point where now we serve single fathers with children,
Mm.
single mothers with children, and actually two-parent families with children.
Wow.
So children is
Mhm.
you have to have kids in order to be a part of the
Mhm.
Vision House program. And so it's transitional housing. So it's
Mhm.
a year program. We
Mm.
have housing that they live in, and we provide case management programs to rebuild their self-sufficiency, to
Mm.
get back on their feet. And I joined Vision House back in 2004. I
Mhm.
had gotten a divorce, had to go back and get a job where I could support my kids, and surprisingly enough, answered an ad in the newspaper.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, who does that anymore? I don't even think they have
Nobody.
ads in the
Do they
newspaper.
print newspapers
I
anymore?
know, right?
Right.
But and it's as it turns out, Vision House was like 2 blocks from where I was living.
Oh wow.
And so it answered a lot of prayers for me in
Mhm.
terms of, can I keep my kids in the same school? Can I,
Mhm.
how can I continue to support my kids and work at the same
Mm.
time? And I didn't know what Vision House was.
Mm.
And at that time, we had a staff of 8,
Mhm.
probably a budget of about $525,000. And now it's a $7 million organization that
Wow.
serves, over 1,000 families
Mhm.
a year, not just in transitional housing, but we also have a diversion program. So
Mm.
trying to address that issue of homelessness before it, you know, spirals out,
Mhm.
and addressing some of the smaller, or not, they're not small issues, but individual issues, I should
Mhm.
say, individual issues like credit, legal,
Right.
health, one at a time, so that they can
Mhm.
rebuild.
Yeah, that's great. I had a conversation tonight with Andrea Pickett, who's this executive director of my father's house in Gresham, Oregon, and they also work with families, and so that was a really interesting conversation. You'll have to go back
you
and
know,
look at.
I often call that issue the hidden homeless, because you talk a lot about the
Men and women on
men
the
and
street.
women that we see very visibly.
Yeah.
And I think the mindset that, your average community member thinks about homelessness is what they see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't see families in part because, they're terrified that if they are found to be
Yeah.
homeless, their children will be taken from them.
That's huge.
So that in itself is trauma. So, there's a lot of trauma involved in homelessness in general, but for a parent, they've got to think about their kids, and that often is the hottest button, that they're dealing with when we first see them.
Yeah. What have you seen change in the years that you've been involved in this? Like, what's happening with the numbers with family homelessness?
Well, it really started to change and spiral out during the recession, 2007, 2008. And as, low income residents were losing their homes and being pushed into homelessness, it reduced the availability of housing for those who were on the brink of homelessness, and then pushed, many more families into homelessness. So that really, I think, started just a lot of awareness that there were families, because we were all dealing with the issues around the recession, right? And so, and we knew that housing was becoming a hot topic. And so I think the visibility increased, as well, obviously, as well as the numbers of families that were finding themselves homeless. And it's interesting because, you talk a lot about addiction and mental health issues, but some of these families, they there are certainly a share that share those issues, undoubtedly. But there are families that, like we had a mom in our program who she had a good job. She had been divorced, but she had a special needs child she was caring for, and everything was going fine for her because she had a good job. But she was injured. She had a car accident and broke her back.
Wow.
So she had to go on leave. It was extended because of the severity of the injury. She got on pain pills, lost her insurance, lost her job, and was addicted.
Wow.
So here's someone who
Yeah.
would never have imagined herself in that situation. And that's not uncommon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the family homelessness is a completely different thing than what I see with single adults.
In part, I mean, we have definitely had women who have been on the streets with their kids,
Right.
and then come in and to our program, and some who come in and rebuild and are successful, but some who come in and just can't because of those underlying issues. And sadly, as you know, homelessness, as Jeff Lilly of Union Gospel Mission like to say, homelessness is not a resource issue, it's a relationship issue.
Exactly.
So, those individuals who either didn't grow up with that foundational support system or lost it for one reason or another, can't find their way back.
Yeah. I used to do a lot of Bridges Out of Poverty trainings, and I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but, it talks about bonding capital and bridging capital. And that, the bonding capital is what keeps you day to day. Like, it's the person that will help fix your car.
Mm.
Probably your uncle. It'll come fix your car
Yeah.
so you can go to work, or watch the kids when they're sick and you need to go to work, that kind of thing. It helps you get through the day. And then there's the bridging capital that helps you cross the bridge to that next level. And that might be the person that helps you find a job,
Yeah.
right? Or recommends you, or whatever. And we need both of those.
Sure.
Right. And that's the thing. The people that we're serving
Yeah.
have lost both of those. They just don't
Yeah.
have those relationships.
Well, and one of the one of the benefits of a program like Vision House, and I'm sure you see it here too at Bread of Life, but there are numbers of people that want to get involved and do something, and so partnering with churches has been a really positive way to engage those individuals, but also to provide what you're talking about. Again, another one of the things that we've seen. You ask about what have you seen change. We've seen a lot of refugee families
Yeah.
over the past. When I started at Vision House, we had a couple of Ukrainian families or Russian families, but more and more families from Eritrea, Ethiopia, and we have one whole wing of our complex in Shoreline. At one time, was all those Eastern African countries.
And so, are there different things you need to do to help them? I mean, besides
Absolutely.
the language barrier.
Yeah, the language barrier is the big one, but you were mentioning harm reduction a few minutes ago, and it's we write a curriculum for a program, say, to work with children, because healthy parenting is one of the barriers to overcome homelessness. So, or healthy parenting is a barrier to healthy housing, having a healthy home.
Yeah.
It's 5 o'clock
It's
in the morning.
early,
My
and
brain,
you're doing
I
way
know.
better than I would be. So.
But so we write a curriculum to help parents, because some of them have never, they weren't parented well. And so that's one of the areas that we try to support. But what we didn't realize when we started to see those populations coming in was that their parenting is different than ours.
Yes.
And so to say, don't yell at your children, I mean, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
So we had to learn as an organization, as a staff, we had to be trained in cultural sensitivity.
Yeah.
Because their norms are different. They're they have the same values but expressed in a different way. And so it was like, wow, we were doing harm to them, degrading their parenting by imposing our cultural
values.
norms and expectations on them. So, and I think that's a good lesson for us to learn in this work, that we always need to be on the learning curve.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking a few minutes ago about something I wanted to say. I was looking down the street tonight and I went, wow, that vehicle is parked right in front of the alley. Why would they park there? And somebody else was sitting here and she looked and she goes, no. The one behind them is in front of the alley. And one of my security guys walked down. He goes, no, neither of them are in front of the alley. There's a gap between them that a car could come through. And I was thinking about that, and I thought, we have things that we think we are so right on.
Yeah.
And I'm really good at saying, this is how it is. But you have to really walk all around an issue and question your view of it, and listen to other people, and just walk around it and look at it from all angles.
Yeah, driving over here this morning, I wasn't necessarily thinking about what we were going to talk about, but I was thinking about, being out in the dark and that there are, our neighbors who are out in the dark, and, remembering the times that my husband Steve and I have, traveled with the Union Gospel Mission van, search and rescue
Mm-hmm.
van, and gone out to see these individuals in the dark. And um, all I could think about was human dignity.
Mm.
And I know this is talked about a lot, what are the things that people ask all the time? I'm sure they ask you this: what can I do?
Yeah.
How should I be more sensitive, or what can I do? What do you recommend? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like driving down the bottom of the freeway ramp, and there's an individual with a sign, and what do I do? Do I give them money? I don't think I should give them money, because it's just feeding their addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve one time said, I asked him, what would you do? And being I don't want to speak for you, but being a former pastor, would say, I just let God tell me what to do in
Tell
the
you. Yeah.
moment. And so that's kind of what I
Mm-hmm.
feel, is that there are times where it makes me angry, it makes me frustrated, it makes me sad, or I
Mm-hmm.
can't look someone in the eye. But I let
Yeah.
God lead me in that moment.
Yeah.
How would the Spirit lead me? But what I often will say, and this, again, my husband models this well, is look somebody in the eye as you're walking down the street and just acknowledge them,
Acknowledge them.
say hello. So I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about that driving, is the dignity of, if I see a woman or a gentleman walking down the street and they don't, um, would I look them in the eye?
Mm. Yeah.
Would I acknowledge their presence?
Yeah. There was a really good video in the New York City Mission, probably 10 years or so ago now. And they actually took people and dressed them as homeless
Oh,
individuals and had them sit on the street
yeah,
just like you would, you know.
yep.
And their family members and friends walked by
Oh my gosh.
and ignored them. And then they showed that it was this person, and it was just so touching. Like, wow, we really do need to look at people differently as we walk by.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Is it anyway?
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about your relationship, Vision House, with Campbell Auto Group.
Yes,
And they've been a big supporter of yours.
yes,
And we are going to be supported by them
yes.
this coming year.
Way to
And
go.
yeah, I'm really excited about
Mhm.
that for the next 2 years. Can you tell our viewers like a little bit about them and what they do?
Absolutely. I'm honored to call out Kurt and Craig Campbell, brothers, in Edmonds. They have a Nissan Volkswagen dealership in Edmonds, and also Kia, I think, in Missoula, Montana.
Okay.
Yes, they branched out. But so Campbell, it used to be Campbell Nelson
Mhm.
Auto Group, and started by their father
Mhm.
and great guy, Bob Campbell. And back in, I think, 2000 ish,
Mhm.
there was a group of business leaders and pastors in
Mhm.
the North Seattle area who, got together and really talked about how they could make an impact on their community, and what should the issue be,
Mhm.
what should they support. And they had started seeing or hearing
Mhm.
about families with homelessness. They have a big connection with the Edmonds School District, and that's another conversation that could take up a whole hour, is homelessness in the schools.
Mhm.
That we sometimes would get referrals from the schools about a
Yeah.
suspected homeless child. Anyway, so they landed on family homelessness.
Mhm.
And Vision House had been in existence for 10 years at that point, or 8 to 10 years, in Renton, and Craig Campbell had just been down to visit our complex. At that time, we were small, still a grassroots organization, but so he suggested that Kurt come down and visit Vision House as well as a model for what they could perhaps see bringing to the North End somehow. So they partnered with John and Susan Kammer, who started Vision House, and said, if you would come to the North End, we would like to have a Vision House North.
Wow.
And so they called their movement Jacob's Well. And so a lot of supporters still think of the Vision House North as Jacob's Well. It's kind of funny, but that was actually the impetus for starting the program and building a building and the construction project and everything. So long story short, John and Susan found some land in Shoreline just off of Ballinger Way, and got community support, a lot of churches involved, over 100 churches, but built a complex up there, started with one building, and it took, again, the fundraising started like in 2002, 2003, and but as they were finishing up 2 buildings in Renton, they had to delay the start of the building in Shoreline. And all this time, Kurt and Craig Campbell continued to spread the word. They were ambassadors for what we were doing. They would have barbecues on our behalf, and just, the salt of the earth gentlemen that they are. So once we finally did get to the point of building, Kurt and Craig again continued to lend their support, and they helped us get our first building built, our second building built, because there's now 2 buildings in Shoreline that serves a total of 22 families that we can serve up there.
Wow.
In our housing. But they again started out, and I don't know how many organizations they were supporting at that time, but at one point they were supporting 24 organizations.
Oh my.
And so they had to change their model to make a bigger impact on fewer organizations over the years. But and Vision House has come in and out of their support because they've been
do it for 2 years.
fair and supporting other, Kurt was on the board of, oh gosh, I'm going to blank on the name of the organization, but it was a mental health, Compass Health.
Okay.
In the North, mental health. I think it was Compass Health. Anyway, but so they've branched out a little bit and really, supporting different organizations, but all around this need for redeeming families back to restoring their lives, whether it's single individuals, street youth. They've been involved in that, but they are, so what they do is they have this campaign, Campbell Cares, where they, for every car they sell, they will donate some of their proceeds. And so all the sales people in their dealerships are educated about these different ministries that they're supporting, because their model now is to support, I believe they're supporting 5 organizations for a 2-year stint. And so they highlight these different ministries, and we send thank you cards to the people that buy the cars, telling
awesome.
them that, because they bought a car, they're supporting this many families, or whatever the demographic is that's being served. But I can't remember what year it was, but several years ago, maybe 5-10 years ago, we felt so strongly that the difference that the Campbell brothers were making in our community, that we nominated them for the Puget Sound Business Journal's award for corporate giving.
Okay.
So a community partner in
Yeah.
corporate giving, and they won.
Oh, that's great.
And so it was great to
Yeah.
go to that event and really showcase
Mm-hmm.
these humble. I mean, they're the
They're just
last.
such humble guys.
They're the last guys that would.
Yeah.
You know, I say to Kurt, you helped to build. You know, you brought Vision House to Shoreline. He'll go, no, it wasn't me. It was Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fair enough.
Well,
But they're amazing.
Thank you for explaining that. I hadn't heard all of that,
Yeah.
but I'm just so impressed with them and their business
Yes.
model, and that they really seem to care for their employees.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supporting so many different organizations, and not only do they support them financially, I think I'm seeing that they really immerse themselves and learn about what each organization is doing. It's easy to
Right.
write a check,
Right.
but they're learning about the issues, they're learning about the organizations they serve, and they are pouring back into
Yes.
those organizations in other ways, like having us for a retreat,
Right.
and at Christmas having
Right.
having us in and just helping us connect and get to know each other. and-
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, it goes down to that the relationship piece.
Yes.
And they model that so well that building relationships, forming partnerships, you know, we can do far better together than we can by ourselves.
Mhm.
And sharing, you know, what has God done in your life? And the Christmas event, sometimes it's what has God done in your life this year,
Yeah.
your life personally,
Yeah.
or what has God done in your business? But usually they want to know
It's the personal stuff.
the person, and they want us to know each other,
Yeah.
and it builds relationships across the community. I mean, there are, you know, the room is full at the Christmas event, but you know, I love their retreat idea for their beneficiaries, getting them together to you know each other better.
Yeah.
And I was going to tell you something about that, and I forgot. It'll come back to me, but
It's okay.
um,
Well, in the end, I just want to say that we are just so excited to be beneficiaries this
Yes.
year and next, and that, you know, if you really want to support companies or support us, you can support companies that support us. So if
Yep.
you need a car,
Go to
see
Campbell
Auto
Auto
Group.
Group.
And actually, I just told somebody that the other day. Their car was breaking down, and I said, "Well, I know
Yeah.
where to send you if you need to buy
Absolutely.
a new car."
Yeah,
And that's where I'm going to go when we need one.
that's
But
great.
I want mine to, like, I want to drive it into the ground. But
Yeah,
yeah, when I do, it'll be there.
that is it is
Yeah.
a perfect way to support the bigger issues by
Yes.
supporting those who are supporting us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and there are many of them out there, but the Campbell brothers again are a really fine example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, thank you for that.
of course.
So we have completely ignored Steve, and I'm sure he's fine with that. But I want to ask you a question. Steve, you're married to a retired CEO of a nonprofit. What do you wish that, well, just talk to us about that. Like, talk to people about what it means to be a CEO of a nonprofit. Like, what do you see that she went through? And what do you wish people knew about what we deal with?
It's a profound thing to watch a person like Melissa engage in the kind of work she does, because it's not something that comes naturally to people to go out and find the least of them and to actually do something about it.
Right.
She is a woman who is called and is deeply rooted in her faith, and it's an inspiration actually for me to watch her use her strategic thinking and her deep faith and put those two together to make a difference
Mhm.
in people's lives. I
Mhm.
have had the privilege of seeing and meeting with some of the people she serves, and they are over the moon about Vision House
Mhm.
because they actually saved them
Mm.
from themselves being taken advantage of by others.
Mhm.
They are just so deeply grateful for the ministry and almost have no words to say about it.
Mhm.
But this one is one who inspires the whole organization to see the best in the least of these.
Yeah.
And it's a profound privilege to watch
Mhm.
how that plays out in real time.
Mhm.
Um, I think when she started working at Vision House, she was an office manager, and she went to back to school to learn about organizational leadership. And she said, "Is it? Should I really do this?" And I said, "Yeah." I mean, it uses all of your gifts and all of your talents, and so she got a master's degree in organizational leadership and started putting that to use and just completely changed the culture of Vision House
Mm.
to one of a service organization to one of a learning organization to one of a strengths-based learning organization that called people to use their gifts and their strengths to serve the homeless. And it transformed the organization from like a $500,000. She tripled the budget in a matter of 5 years,
That's awesome.
and it's because she'd be the last to say it, but I'll say it for her. She's, you know, a humble person who uses her gifts in the service of others, and it's it's changed me, and it's changed the lives of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of liked her a lot, right, when I first met her, so I understand that. We kind of hit it off right away,
We
didn't
did,
we?
yeah, we did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
like-minded.
What do you wish that people knew about, like, leading an organization? Like, I don't think people understand what it is at all. Either of you can answer that.
And that's
Like,
part of the challenge of leadership is that you're out there alone
yeah,
unless you build again relationships with your peers.
relationships. Yeah,
So and Steve has led organizations as
yeah,
well, so he's very familiar with this
yeah.
topic.
Well, and it's what I think a lot of people don't understand is that leadership is a calling as much as it is a role.
Yeah.
And if you're not called and strengthened by that call and um, influenced daily by a sense of higher purpose, it just won't work.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and and you will eventually burn out.
I've been there.
Yeah, not like I
Yeah.
have burned out a few times,
Yeah.
but it's the sense of call and the sense of the need for renewal and the need for
Mhm.
sabbatical and all of that
Yeah.
is just essential for effective leadership.
Yeah. I think that's really a key because we can, the need is always there.
Right,
The work is always more
Right.
than we can do. And you have to take time for yourself, take time for your family. I've played that game too, where the
Yeah.
family always gets the leftover.
I know.
You can't keep that up. Something's going to fail.
That's really true. And learning to see the signs of that,
Hmm.
I think, is part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Because we can push ourselves
Hmm.
way beyond where we should, for the greater purpose. But you have to be fed in order to feed others.
Yeah.
And we are in the positions that we're in because we've pushed ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's some sense of gratification in that. I mean, we feel like, oh, look what I've done.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anyone any good if,
No.
as Steve said, we burn out.
And the organization can't rise above wherever the leader is there.
That's right.
So if we're not growing and
Yes.
reinvesting in ourselves, then it's limiting the entire organization.
And I think how we lead those who serve the population that we serve is critical as well. And that's something that I had to work on a lot, was a lot of self-reflection in terms of how am I showing up for my staff? How am I caring for them? And that doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not like the sending thank you card type of person.
Yeah.
But allowing them to be encouraged and encouraging them to continue to learn, I'm glad you put your finger on that, because that was like, oh, that was something that was I believe in deeply, because that was a gift that was given to me, is permission to go and learn.
Yes.
And it helped make me who I am,
Right.
which I think is important for everybody to be given that same opportunity to continue to grow. And then that translates to how we serve those whom we're serving.
Right. Right. We're in the middle of our audit right now, because why not do it right now,
Sure.
right? But one of the questions was, well, why did you have such a jump in your conference and education line? Well, because we weren't doing any, and we tripled our staff, and we believe in education.
Yes.
So, we took people to conferences last
Yeah.
year, and it made such a difference in how we do the work
I'm
here.
glad to hear that, because when I was at Vision House for 20 years. The first 10 years I was, as Steve said, I started out as office manager, and then I quickly became HR because we grew so quickly. And we went from 8 staff to now there's almost 100. But I felt when I became executive director in 2015, excuse me, I hadn't studied the issue of homelessness. My job in the organization was to care for staff.
Right.
And, encourage staff, empower staff so that they could serve. But I had to quickly, so I spent the first year of my leadership journey learning about homelessness and just going out and meeting as many people as I could in the environment. And it was essential. I couldn't have done my job if I had not gone to conferences and taken people out for lunch and invested in
Right.
my education. Because at one point, following COVID, I actually had to take on the role of our program director, and I did that for about a year and a half, because of staffing issues. But if I hadn't known what I was doing, the organization could have gone sideways. So it was that education, that continual investment in the people that are caring. I mean, it's like you think about nurses and doctors; they have to have continuing education.
Right.
That's mandatory.
Yeah.
And the issue of homelessness has changed. The solution to the issue of homelessness, it's gone from as I've watched it, it's gone from transitional housing was highly touted, an excellent solution, and then HUD, for the federal, we always go by the
Housing
federal
first.
best practices, right?
Right.
Because that's where the money comes from. Vision House, however, we don't receive any funding from public entities. So, but still, We have to follow the trends and the best practices. And so, around 2007 and 8, around the same time as the recession, this housing first model became the best practice, and rapid rehousing, putting people into homes first and then providing services, became the federally preferred model to end homelessness. So everybody was putting their money there. And, I had people I knew that had transitional housing programs that turned them into rapid rehousing programs, moved away from transitional housing.
Created an imbalance in the whole system, didn't it?
Well, that's what we ended up seeing. But, their belief was that this was going to be the answer to ending homelessness for more people. Oh, go Mariners. Go Mariners. And so all the federal dollars went towards rapid rehousing. And at Vision House, I took a hard look at that and talked to a lot of people and said, should we turn our transitional housing into rapid rehousing? And it was actually Jeff Lilly from UGM who said, no, you don't want to do that. And I said, why not? And he said, because you're going to want it back.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I held on to that word of wisdom, just like, okay, I'm going to take this as a word from God. This is my direction, right? Don't mess with our model at Vision House, because we have had
it was working.
Great success, 88 to 92% success rate of transitioning families from homelessness to self-sufficiency. Well, lo and behold, now that housing first model is in question. And it's, what about addressing the needs? Because you put somebody in a home, you haven't taught them how to create a budget or change their habits or taught them anything about being a good renter. I mean, that's a thing. And we develop relationships with apartment landlords who would call us if they had an open apartment to transition families from Vision House to, because they knew our program prepared
they were going to be
families to be good tenants.
Yeah.
But if you think about the basic, what does it take to have a healthy home? The ability to communicate, the ability to conflict management, conflict resolution. If I have a disagreement with my landlord,
you can't just punch them.
Right. Or yell at them.
Yeah. That's not going to help.
And so, there you've got another eviction on your record, right?
Yep.
Oh, then you have a debt issue. Then you have a legal issue. So all that stuff compounds itself.
Yeah, exactly.
We had I want to tell the story because it's just so critical. Is my time up?
No, you're fine.
We had a mom. We talk about life skills. People who have what we have seen as families, women who grew up living in a car and now are repeating that cycle.
Oh, yeah.
But a woman who grew up living in a car, we had a healthy nutrition, healthy cooking class that we were teaching.
She didn't know how to cook anything.
Well, not only does she know how to cook, she was going to learn how to cook because we had somebody there to teach in the class. So the instructions were, go out and buy a pound of ground beef and blah, blah, blah. And we gave them money to buy the food. So she went out, came back to the next class, and, there were a group of moms there. And, the instruction was, get a half a pound of ground beef. So she came back and she said, well, I couldn't find a half a pound of ground beef at the store. And he goes, why not? Well, because all of the packages were a full pound. There wasn't any packages that said half a pound. And he said, well, you could have gone to the meat counter. And she said, oh, no, that meat is too expensive. And he's like, well, it's the same meat that's over here. Okay, lesson number one. Then she said, so I bought a whole pound, and so I brought a half a pound here. Okay, you bought a whole pound. What did you do with the other half pound? Well, I threw it away because I didn't need it. And he said, well, why didn't you put it in the freezer? And she said, oh,
Can you do
I
that?
could have done that.
Oh goodness.
No, it's
And
a real story.
And we just don't even know what
We
people
don't know.
right?
We don't
Like,
know.
Yeah.
And and so this is why, as we talk about seeing people for who are they really, and what is
Mhm.
behind the complexity
Right.
of their homelessness.
You know, the other thing that we talk about a lot in Bridges Out of Poverty is that, you know, it's easy to look down on somebody like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, oh yeah.
but in reality, she's really good at surviving where she grew up. I couldn't survive there. I wouldn't know how to live in a car.
So what, that's an interesting point, because there's a whole package of skills
Mhm.
that people who are surviving homelessness
Mhm.
are learning and using.
Yes.
And sometimes helping them to overcome their homelessness means unraveling all of that,
Yeah.
because 9 times out of 10 those skills are not healthy,
Mhm.
and they include things like manipulation. And I don't want to be judgmental about
Right.
people, but it's real.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they come, and oftentimes we'll see someone in the entry point, and they say all the right things because they know what to
they
say.
know.
And
Yeah.
then once they're in the program, they fall apart.
Mhm.
And it's like, where was that person that we interviewed?
Right.
Just
It,
because they know
well, and
what they're supposed to say.
they have to solve problems every day.
Right.
Urgent problems.
Urgent
Where am I
problems.
going to get food today? You know, whatever it might be.
Right.
And so, you know, they learn how to do that, but they don't have the critical thinking or
Yeah.
the problem solving for long term
Right.
and so on. It's just different parts of our brains.
Yeah, it is.
And it takes some time to retrain that, retrain the brain so that they can do
Neuroplasticity.
that.
Yes. And you compound that with trauma,
Mm-hmm.
which damages the brain, but it also stays in our body. And again, a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah.
how do we as a staff steward that trauma well?
Right.
And how do we steward it for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to that leadership conversation. Is, are we dealing with one of the things that our staff at Vision House is required to do is to go through a trauma stewardship training, so
That's
that
really
they can,
good.
because they're dealing with secondary trauma every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And how not to bring it on our
Yeah.
put it on ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you wish or well, just how do you wish that people would support nonprofits? Maybe some creative things. I mean, we're always asking for donations, right?
Right.
But there's some really creative ways that donors can support the organization, like supporting staff and different things. What yeah, just whatever you want to say.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I would go back to education, providing funding for continuing education for staff would be a good one. But then again, when we, this goes back to the sort of the elements of good fundraising. We don't want to restrict our money too much so
Yeah.
that we can't use it for our programs.
Right.
And, donors, I find, want to know that they're making an impact on
Yeah.
the
they
people
really
that we
do.
serve. So what I wish the community would do, somebody who's interested in giving money or their time or talents, is to actually go to the nonprofit and talk to them.
Yes.
Find out what their needs are. Because, we'll have people that will say, well, I want to make sure that my money goes to that family to get them a tree for their apartment for Christmas. Is that really what we need? Is that what is that going to do for their current situation? It might make the donor happy to think that they're in a decorated apartment,
Yes.
but is that what the organization needs? And so have a conversation with the leadership or the staff at the at the nonprofits. What is your greatest need?
Right.
Because you know I'm guilty of this. Excuse me, putting my needs first.
Yeah.
But again, my wise husband will often say, "Whose needs are getting met here?"
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants to hear that, Steve. But we need it.
Well, it's a question. It's a spiritual question, actually.
Yeah.
Because Jesus said, um, "Find, serve the least of these,"
Right.
and the second we stop asking the question whose needs are being met,
Mm-hmm.
the the answer automatically becomes ours, mine,
Right.
and it's just
Yeah.
a real relevant
Mm-hmm.
spiritual
Yeah.
question to ask every day.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Yeah. Yeah, I think in general, I would like for donors in the community and so on to just understand the complexity of an
Yeah.
organization like this,
Yes.
and that it's not wasteful to spend money on a conference,
Right.
and that we need to support our staff so they can do great work, because they really are picking up secondary trauma
Right.
and
Right.
all of that, and so that's really important to support the staff,
Yes.
and more the amount of staff hours it takes to do what we do.
Absolutely.
Like
It's
there's
never
no
ending.
there's no lean staff when
No.
it comes to this, or we can't run. We won't make we won't have good outcomes,
Right.
right?
And all those things matter. You
Yeah.
know, the organizational stuff that we have to show where the money goes. We have to show that the money's being spent well. All that stuff is important as an
Yeah.
organizational leader,
Yeah.
because donors, foundations, they look at that. They look at the return on their investment,
Yes.
and that's important.
Right.
But yeah, and I know that like Vision House is constantly doing, like webinars and like this
Yeah.
event that you're doing to make people aware of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage people to try to dispel their notion of what homelessness is and looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and seek out, or if you see something being held, like Vision House had or is having this week, I don't know, next week, some little webinar, but watch it, listen to the people that are involved. I know this is being
Right.
live streamed, but you can go to YouTube
Sure.
and look up Bread of Life Mission and watch all the conversations that you've had here in the past 24 hours, because you'll be hearing from the people that are in the midst of it.
Yes.
And many people don't bother to go below the surface
Yeah.
and really find out what the truth is about the complexity,
Yeah.
because they just have their own
It's-
idea of what
It's so much easier
homelessness
just
is.
to make a
Yeah.
judgment and put it in a box,
yep.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being
Oh,
here.
my
Thanks for
pleasure.
coming out early.
I'm just proud of you for doing this, and
It's a great idea.
it's a great idea.
It wasn't my idea. I wish I
Well,
could take.
Doesn't matter whose it was. It's a great thing that you're
Right.
doing. That's happening. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that I know many of the people that are doing this work in our community, and I don't see many of them sitting on the corner in the middle of the night. Just, it's not about you. It's about the
It's
people that you
about
see
the
walking
people
by,
we serve.
and the
Yeah.
people we serve. Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, part of what gives me chills is that, having gone through divorce and all that, if I didn't have the support system I had back 20 years ago, it could be me out there.
Exactly. Yeah. I really have always said, but by the grace of God.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I was brand new in this work, like brand new, first week. One of the women at the soup kitchen came in and she was off her meds, and she honestly scared me. I did not know how to respond, and she brought in pictures of herself. She was an HR executive with over 300 employees
Oh, my
under her,
word.
and the glam shots from their,
Oh.
whatever kind of big staff
Yeah.
event. And I looked at that picture and looked at her and could not see her
Yeah.
in it. I just couldn't, like, there was no relation anymore. And her father had passed away, and she had lost housing because she had come back to take care of him, and then developed this mental illness, and it was just this, and I looked at her and went, this could be any one of us.
Mhm.
Any one of us. So that I'm so glad that happened early on, because I realized I can't judge any of the people that are coming in here.
Yes.
It's me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It could be any
So-
one of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it could be Jesus. Right. And often I felt like, yeah, I think I just gave Jesus a drink of water. So yeah, that's what keeps us going, right?
Amen.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
thank you so much. I so appreciate your friendship and your
My
support.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's, I'm retired, but I care. I care about, I told somebody the other day, and I'm not out on the front lines with the homeless population, but I'm supporting my friends who are still doing the work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just to have coffee and, hear you out.
Yep.
If that's what I'm called to do, that's what I'll continue doing.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep calling you. I need to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thanks.